Hawick News.
In this episode, we look back on political debates.
Boys versus girls hockey.
And 1K1's trip to House of Cheviot.
In the run-up to the Scottish elections and the AV referendum, Mr Taylor hosted a question time political debate with the local MSPs.
Like high school pupils asked politicians testing questions. Here's a look at what went on.
I was wondering why the representatives think the voting turnout is very low for Scottish parliamentary elections.
I think the difficulty is that when we seem to have a lot of what we want, what our achievements are, that sometimes we become apathetic about a number of the issues, the other issues that we want. We think we've got the big things, so a number of the little things don't really matter. I think we all get in the doorstep. People say, what's the point in voting? You're all much the same. Well, not much the same at all. And what we rely on as candidates is people telling us what they would like, what they would like to see. What we see is, that people are afraid about their jobs, afraid about their mortgages, a number of things, that just affect their local community. But they don't believe that by getting off their backside and going and voting actually helps.
And the turnout is not as bad as in council elections or in the European Parliament elections. And I think it's a question of how relevant people see the actual election to their own day-to-day circumstances. And I think it's the duty of politicians to explain the relevance of the elections and why voting helps. And I'm very hopeful that the example of what's happened in Egypt just recently will inspire people to go out and vote in this next Scottish Parliament election. The more people that vote, the more legitimate is the political representative and the government that follows afterwards.
In days gone by, people were brought up to believe, and their parents and their grandparents made them believe this, that going to vote was part of your civic duty, part of being a citizen of this country was your obligation to go and vote. And I believe over the course of time that has been diluted. People don't see it as important to go and vote, and over the course of time fewer people see it as their civic responsibility to go to the polling station and vote for whatever candidate they want to win, or whatever government they want to be elected. So it's a combination of reasons, but I don't think it's just the Scottish Parliament elections. There's a general trend of fewer people voting, and how we address that is going to be an issue for all the parties. There isn't one particular party has a particular challenges. It's for all of us on this table to try and address.
The whole scunner factor with the expenses scandal, I think, has had quite an impact on people's view of politics in general. It's increased the amount of cynicism there is about politics and why people are involved in politics, and that's actually quite sad. I hope that all of you here today are interested in politics because you have ideas as to what kind of society you feel we should be living in, rather than perhaps being motivated by aspirations to get a flash car or to get an expense account. That's not what it's all about. I think all of us here got into politics because we had a particular view of how we thought society should be run, and that's what motivates me, and I'm sure I can speak for the others in saying that's what motivates them to do the job. But unfortunately, the cynicism has been fed by the media, and a lot of people are frankly switched off politics because they don't believe they're actually in it for the right reasons.
Very interesting, and well done to Christina Henry, who has since been elected our MSYP.
Last month saw some exciting hockey match between boys and girls. Take a look at some of the action.
Well, you know, sorry, they're not going to be wondering. The describing. That's well done. Can you lift your eye off last week? Oh yeah. So you can go home. Yeah? We're
great fun. The boys eventually run free too.
Class 1K1 has been designing socks and hat recently. Some of the best designs have since been produced by local sock manufacturers House of Cheviot, the Hawick company that makes all the socks and jumpers for the Harry Potter films.
One of the socks there hasn't got a name on it. Oh. And we're fascinated to know who it is. That's the one that you'll see that's being made and you'll see finished today. If you just start off in the yarn store, just see the sort of thing, the yarn that we use, and then you'll move straight into the machines.
All the socks that you see going through the factory, they all start off in here with all the various different colours that we keep. The yarn comes from Italy, and it's a mixture of merino wool with some acrylic in it. The merino wool gives you a very soft handle, and the acrylic just gives it that extra bit of strength. They're basically just little bits of knitted garment, and then they're linked, and again you'll see this next door, linked onto the top of the sock, and then that gives you a plain sock with a pattern top.
The most fun we've had was the Harry Potter, products that we made for the films. This is a very special yarn. It's not only strong, but it's also, it melts in water. So between each pair of socks, every sock we make, we actually have to join it to the next one. And instead of having to unwind lots of thread between every sock we make, this is a very special yarn that when we put this in water, when the socks are washed, it just dissolves and disappears. So, because it's actually made from products, and one of which is seaweed. Well, remember I showed you at the very beginning, the sock and the top. But what we've done is we've put the sock and the top together.
That's all for this episode.
See you next time. Bye.